Oh, here she comes. She's a meat eater. What up, what up? It's your Boxtruck Lamar. We back in this thing. I got a load I'm going to pick up in Tucson, Arizona, bringing it back down to Tempe, Arizona. But today's video ain't going to be about that, man, because I experienced some stuff over the last week with some brokers that really let me know what side my bread is buttered on, man. These brokers don't really care about us carriers, man. These brokers don't care about us owner-operators out here that's really putting in the work and making it happen for them while they sitting back in the office, man. In this video, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So like, share, and subscribe. It's your favorite Boxtruck Lamar. This is a pretty decent load that I'm about to do. I mean, it's paying pretty good, and the broker seems to be pretty decent. He agreed to the rate that I asked him for this load, and so far there hasn't been any pressure to complete this load. That's kind of an ideal load to me. That's not like the last couple loads that I was on, you know, dealing with two different brokers that, I don't know, man, it pretty much proved to me that even though we're in the same business, they not like us. They not like us, man. I'm damn near starting to feel like they don't like us. Feel me? All right, man, before I get into the story, I want to pick up this load, get back down the road, and that's when I'll get to the story about these brokers, man, because like I said, they don't really care about us, man. At least some of them don't. I'm gonna share my experience that I had over the last couple days with some of these brokers, but before I do, we're gonna get this truck loaded up and beat up that road, man. All right, we got it strapped up and strapped down. As you can see, there's two big pallets full of cardboard, I believe. Very light. Like I said, we got it strapped up and strapped down. We finna beat up that road and get to the story, man. In and out like a bank robber. These are the type of loads that I like doing. High paying, straightforward, and nothing but transparency from the broker, and a decent level of respect from the broker as well. And this load has been no pressure at all. I got it picked up and I'm on my way to deliver it as we speak. But I had an experience recently with two different brokers that didn't show any respect for me, my company, or my safety. And I had to turn the loads down, man. I lost a couple $100 on those loads, but my company and my safety was more important than trying to make that money and potentially hurting myself or tearing up my equipment, actually. So I get a call from my dispatcher the other day. Shout out to him. He told me about a load. You know, it sounded pretty decent. So, you know, after negotiating on the price and agreeing to some numbers, I said, go ahead and book the load. Cool. I go grab the load. As soon as I get to the shipper, I'm talking to the guys in the shipping and receiving. I tell them what load I'm coming to get. And they all look at each other and kind of start giggling and all that. Then the guy looked back at me and said, you sure you want to take that load? So then and there, I was like, oh, man. He's like, yeah, 3 drivers already came to try to take this load, and all 3 of them turned it down. You're like the 4th guy to come out here to try to get this load. I don't know why they keep sending box truck drivers for this load. It's too big for a box truck. So I'll let you see the load, and if you want to take it, cool. If you don't, I understand, because like I said, 3 other drivers already came and turned it down on site. So I'm like, yeah, let me see it. We go back there, I'm checking it out. It's a crate with glass doors in it.
Got him! Got him! Oh! Whoa! Whoa!
It's supposed to go to a smoke shop, like a tobacco store. So a little bitty shop. I guess maybe they were just opening up and they had ordered some glass cases and stuff like that. Probably a humidor for cigars and stuff like that. So this one crate weighed about, it was like 3,000 pounds or something. So way too heavy for my pallet jack. And it was way too big for my pallet jack. I'm like sizing it up. Because, you know, I wanted the money. The money was pretty decent. And I didn't come all that way for nothing. So I'm trying to size it up and try to come up with a plan where I can get it on my truck. And then the guy in the shipping and receiving area tells me that they already broke some of the glass that morning trying to move it. It's just so heavy. And it was so wide that I would have to put it on my truck at a certain angle to where I wouldn't be able to move it with a pallet jack anyway. So this job was supposed to be a driver assist. So they wanted me to load it on my truck and unload it. So I'm like, I can't do it. And the guy said, if you want me to put it on with a forklift, I could put it on your truck. But then I'm like, how am I going to get it off? Because like I said, this stuff was going to a tobacco store. So I knew that they didn't have a dock area. And most likely they didn't have a forklift truck or anything like that. So I said, give me a moment. Let me go talk to the broker and try to come up with a plan. Like I said, I wanted that money. You already know your uncle's all about that money. So I go jump on the phone, I holler at the broker. I tell him the situation, and he act like he didn't know nothing about this after 3 drivers already came and turned it down already. So he's like, basically trying to talk me into doing it, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it unless they have a forklift at the receiver, because these guys said they can get it on the truck for me, but there's no way that I will be able to move this big giant crate with a pallet jack. And I definitely won't be able to get it off using my lift gate because it's just too big and it's too heavy. It will break my lift gate if I even try to put it on the lift gate. But it was so big that it was just way bigger than my lift gate, so it would have never worked. It was like, oh, okay, well, let me call the receiver and explain the situation and see what they have to say. He did that. He called me back. Like, oh yeah, they said that they're working on coming up with a plan to get you unloaded when you get there. That was the first red flag for me. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go on that. If they don't have a forklift, they're not going to be able to get it off my truck, and I'm not going to get stuck in this situation. The stuff is fragile. They already broke some of the glass earlier trying to move it. 3 drivers already turned it down. It's looking pretty risky, and I'm leaning towards not even doing this load. So he tried to pretty much run game on me, trying to make it sound good every way possible he could, but I wasn't going, man, because one thing about me is you can't fool a fool, man. You feel me? You know, just because you pour syrup on shit, it don't make it pancakes, man. So no matter how he said it, I'm like, hey, they don't got a forklift truck, they're not going to be able to get it off my truck. So we went back and forth with this for an hour, and last time he called me back, he said they're getting a bunch of people together so they can try to lift it up and carry it off of the truck. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna be able to do it. It would be like trying to pick up a small car or something. I'm like, they're either gonna break everything in that crate, or they're gonna get hurt, or something's not gonna go right. I don't think that's a good idea. You know what? I'm gonna have to turn down that load. And the broker, eventually he understood and he respected my decision. But he just tried so hard to talk me into it after I told him 50 times that it's not gonna be safe, it's not an easy load to do. They really need like a semi-truck and a forklift truck or an electric pallet jack or something. But a box truck with just a pallet jack and a lift gate is not gonna cut it. And I can't be responsible for anybody getting hurt or any damages getting done to their stuff if they try to take it off by hand. Basically, not unload it piece by piece, but pick up the whole crate, which was like thousands of pounds, and lift it up and carry it off of the truck. Like, there's no way, man. So I had to turn that load down, and like I said, he respected my decision, but he just tried so hard to talk me into doing that load. Like, he was not trying to hear anything about my safety or the property getting damaged and getting claims filed on my insurance, which I was not having that. I wasn't even gonna put myself in that position. So that's why I say, man, these brokers don't really care about you or your equipment or your safety. All they see is a dollar sign. And they're just trying to get the stuff picked up and unloaded so they can make their money. Never be afraid to turn down these loads, man. You know, I put about $125 in my gas tank to go do this load and drove all that way to go pick it up. It really wasn't far from where I was. It was probably 30 miles, but I didn't make any money. I just spent money and didn't make any money, so that was a loss. You know, but I walked away safe, unhurt. My truck walked away without any damages. I didn't have any claims on my insurance from their property getting broken from trying to move it. So it was a win-win in my eyes, even though I spent that $100 for nothing, but I ended up using it the next day anyway, so it was all to the good. It was all to the bueno. And you think they was trying to reimburse me for the money that I spent to do this load, or for my time that I wasted? Come on, man. They definitely didn't reimburse me for it. That was an L I had to take. You know, it is what it is, man. I took that L. Then my dispatcher called me like 2 days later with another load from guess who? Guess. The notorious TQL. Now, I done did plenty and many of loads for TQL since I've been in this business, and I mean, I gotta admit it, most of my experiences has been good. I haven't really had too many bad experiences with TQL, especially getting paid. You know, they always pay. Never have an issue getting paid through TQL, and normally the loads are pretty decent. But he called me with this load, and it was straight trickery, man. Straight up trickery, man. And it had some stuff written in small print that I didn't even read. I didn't even notice it on the paperwork until I got out to the shipper location. I had to drive about 100 miles to get to the shipper location, and then I was gonna bring it back probably about another 100 and something miles. I think the whole trip was gonna be almost 300 miles from the pickup location to where I had to drop it off at, which was cool because, like I said, my dispatcher called me. I told them how much I would do it for, and they agreed. But right when they agreed, being that it was TQL too, I knew it had to be some kind of trickery in the game. You know, they just agreed to what I asked for just a little too fast. And normally, if you run across those loads that pay pretty high, or you throw some numbers at them that's kind of high and they accept it with no issue, there's going to be some trickery in the game. In this situation, it's definitely trickery. I get way out to the location, and I'm like, oh had to go way out to Sedona, Arizona. So I don't know if you're familiar with Sedona, Arizona, but it's pretty much like a small town, little shops and stores. Everything is real small. It's like old school, you know, like a little town. So all the stores and shops are like right next to each other, and they all this big. I get to the shipping location, and I'm like, oh man, all I see is like little restaurants and stuff like that. So I read the paperwork, and it says, oh, the 3 crates are between this restaurant and the shop that's like right across from it. You know, it's like a walkway that divides the restaurant from this little store or whatever. So it says, in between the restaurant and that shop, in the back by the bathrooms. I'm like, oh man, why didn't I read this before I even got on this load, you know? But I'm like, all right, I'm already here. The money's good. It's only 3 crates. How bad could it be? So first of all, like I said, it's in a small location. So I had to pull in a small parking lot that was full of cars because it was a restaurant, probably one of the main restaurants in this town. So it was around dinner time. There was a lot of people there. So the whole parking lot was full. And this place sat on a hill. Sedona's like a real hillish place. Hills and mountains and stuff like that. So this restaurant was on a hill with a small parking lot, and I'm in this box truck. Semi trucks are restricted from even driving up there. Semi trucks can't even go up there. You know? And I don't know why they asked for a box truck to go up there, because even a box truck is kind of hard to maneuver up there almost. You really need like a cargo van, but being that these were 3 pretty large crates, cargo van wouldn't have been able to move these crates. I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do, man. We out here, the money's good. It ain't nothing to it but to do it. So I followed the directions. I walked down the little walkway back by the bathrooms. I see the crates. Okay, cool. So where's the paperwork, and is there anybody here for me to talk to about these loads or to get the paperwork from? No. I don't know where those crates came from. I see a guy that worked in a restaurant, and he said, oh, they might be ours. Let me go ask my manager if he knows what's going on with these crates. He comes back out and says, oh, they're not ours. My manager doesn't know anything about them. They don't belong to us. I go into that store, and I'm like, are you shipping 3 crates? That guy said no, and he said he's seen the crates get delivered there, but he doesn't know who they belong to or, you know, who's responsible for them. So I'm like, damn. So I call TQL, explain the situation to him. Hey man, there's no paperwork. There's nobody here to talk to. It's gonna be kind of difficult to move these because the parking lot's so small that I had to park my truck at the end of the parking lot, which is at the bottom of a hill. So I had to walk up a hill to get to the location where the crates were, which was probably about a block long, city block. Man, the broker that I spoke to was like an after-hour broker, and he didn't care about shit, man. He wasn't trying to hear me. It sounded like some kind of, maybe he was young, and this was on like a Thursday. So I don't know, man. He don't seem like he was in work mode. He sounded like he was in party mode, like just some young kid in there, like he was having fun in the office before I called. So he wasn't even trying to hear me or talk to me or help me out with any kind of information or anything. And he gave me some kind of nonchalant, short response and hung up. So I'm like, you know what? I ain't even tripping. I'm gonna just try to get these loaded on the truck, you know, and I'll get them delivered, and hopefully by the time I get them delivered or wherever I'm delivering these to, they'll have all the paperwork, everything will be fine. We're gonna get paid and keep it pushing. Mind you, I go back to my truck, I get the pallet jack, I have to drag my pallet jack up this hill, steep hill, about a block long. I get up there, now I'm huffing and puffing, I'm tired from walking up a hill for about a block. It was crazy. I'm like, all right. And now I'm like, damn, man, am I gonna have to try to pretty much ease these crates down this hill? Steep hill too, man. Am I gonna have to try to ease them down the hill to get them on the truck? Because there was no room for me to, bag my truck in anywhere or, get in position to where I can ease them onto the truck. I'm already worried about that. I'm like, let me just get it on the truck, man, and get up out of here. The first crate I tried to get, man, I could not move that thing really, man. I moved it like a couple feet, and I'm like, this thing is too heavy. I would not be able to get this down the hill, man. If I try to walk down the hill backwards with this thing gonna run me over once it start gaining momentum, because it was heavy, man. But the whole thing about it is I could barely move it because the crate was so big that it pretty much sat on my wheels for my pallet jack, so it wouldn't really move. I'm like, man. I'm like, maybe I can drag these crates to the end of this walkway, which at the end of the walkway was where the parking lot was. If I can get them to the end of the walkway by the parking lot, maybe I can just get my truck in there some kind of way where I can get them on the truck. Now I tried to move that thing a few more feet. I'm like, I can't move it. I definitely won't be able to move it down this walkway or drag it down the hill. I called the notorious TQL. I explained the situation to them, and they just act like I was just doing the worst by telling them, like, look here, man, I'm not gonna be able to do it. You need probably an electric pallet jack to move these things because they're so heavy. It's fragile. It said fragile on the crates, at least. I think it was like a bunch of some kind of glass, and I can't get my truck close enough to them to where I can get them on the truck. I took pictures of everything, the walkway, the crates, the hill. My truck was down at the bottom of the hill. And that guy, he act like he was cool. Like, all right, cool, you can't do it. Yeah, it looks kind of weird. I wonder why they didn't explain all this. So they didn't even say that, oh, there's not going to be anybody there to give you paperwork, or they didn't really explain anything. They just pretty much sent me on a mission. Like, go ahead, hopefully you can get it type shit. I get there, and it was a doozy, man. It was just something that I couldn't do, and I wasn't going to risk hurting myself or messing up my truck or my pallet jack or anything, or damaging other property around, like all those cars that was in the parking lot that could have either, I could have either hit them with my car, or not my car, but my truck, or damaged them with the pallets, or anything could have happened, man. The parking lot was so small, but the cars were crammed in there. I'm like, man, I can't take this risk. So I got way out there. I couldn't do the load. I canceled the load once I got there, or turned it down, told them, hey, man, I can't do this safely. I won't be able to get it on the truck. You think they compensated me for mine? I put $100 and some worth of gas in my diesel in my tank that day, too, to do this load. You think they reimbursed me for that? Or for my time? Hell no. I talked to the broker that actually booked the load, because like I said, when I got out there to the location, it was later on in the evening, 5 in the evening or something like that. So that broker was off work. and it was after hour brokers or whatever that act like they don't know anything that's going on with the load. They can't tell you anything. They don't know nothing. I don't even know what they're just there to take your call, I guess. I don't know. I ended up talking to the broker the next day, and this dude talked to me. He was just being real disrespectful in his tone and the way that he was coming at me about the load.
First of all, you better check your tone ring, man. I don't think you know who you're talking to.
And he just act like I just did something wrong when I explained the whole situation to him and showed him pictures of to explain what I was talking about. You know? That was very disrespectful. And that's when I realized that after dealing with those two brokers almost back to back, I realized these brokers don't really care about us carriers. You know, they don't care about us owner operators, and if we mess up our trucks or if we get hurt or if the job is safe, man. They just want to make money, and that's all they care about, which is cool because that's what I'm in it for too. I'm trying to make money as well, but not to the point to where I'm gonna hurt myself or try to hurt anybody else around me or mess up my equipment, man. It's just not worth it. And I will turn down a load if I feel like it's not safe or if it's just something that I can't do. I'm not gonna try to force something to work, you know. If it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work, man. So I just wanted to share these stories with y'all, man, because this just happened to me over the last couple of days. And if you're looking to get into this business, this is something that you may have to deal with, and you may not experience this, but this was an experience that I had with a couple of brokers, and I know that there's plenty of other brokers that will pretty much do the same thing that they did. They don't care about you, they don't care about me. All they care about is the money, man. So, it's your Unc, man, boxtruckbusiness, and I'm telling you, if you don't think that the load is gonna be safe, don't do it, man. And don't be afraid to turn down that money. And, you know, all money ain't good money. Sometimes you just gotta walk away from money, man. But luckily for me, within those days that happened, I had a broker call me that I've been working with for probably about 2 months now. And I'm quite sure that I'm probably at the top of their list now because they have been calling me back to back to do pretty much the same route ever since like around December. And after the holidays, they're back calling me again. So it's all good. So even though I missed out on some money and end up losing some money, I still end up making money at the end of the day. So it's all good, man. Like I said, man, safety first. You know, don't be afraid to turn down money, and just take care of you, your company, and your equipment, man. Forget what them brokers is talking about. They don't care about you. They not like us.